There is too much one-way communications in lectures and workshops and in regular business meetings. And what we're trying to do is a very, very simple but powerful interaction tool, and this is Mentimeter. Everybody wants to be heard. And the process of using Mentimeter is quite simple. You create a question, click Start Presenting. The audience then just grab their phone, go to a specific URL, enters the code, and submits the answer.
When you visualize the answers, it makes people think and reflect, and then you can start a discussion from there.
With Mentimeter, everybody has an equal opportunity to voice their opinion. You're not affected by anybody in the room. The input you provide is unbiased, and when you're part of the result, you want to motivate the result.
Mentimeter makes people interact in a new and innovative way.
When you open up for people to voice their opinion, people feel involved, so the interaction creates a constructive discussion. Mentimeter makes meeting more fun, efficient, and effective.
So I'm Johnny Borström, the CEO of Mentimeter. Mentimeter is a live voting software where the audience use their phones to vote. So it's kind of like an interactive PowerPoint, you can say.
Were you an entrepreneur before this? Have you always been entrepreneurial?
I have two other companies. So I was my own consultant part-time, like side of KTH, and then I started another company with one of the guys who started Mentimeter as well, like a small dry cleaning guide, Kemtvättsguiden. It's the Swedish largest Kemtvättsguide.
Awesome.
But so not at the scale as Mentimeter is, like with employees and so on, but I started a couple of companies, mostly for fun, I would say.
So how, who was it that came up with the idea?
The four guys, we knew each other from KTH. It was two computers engineers, one who studied physics and me who studied electronics, and we knew each other from Armada, the career fair. And we came up with the idea in like a joint session and thought that it was such a tangible idea that we could code it for, we can get it out there within like 1 or 2 months. So that was the first prototype that came up with like, this is tangible enough to do something about. Let's just do it and get it out there too.
So what did you sort of give up to start this venture? You said you worked at Nova for...
Yeah, a lot of free time, I would say.
Yeah.
So we started a company on the side. So we hacked away on evenings and weekends. First off, we got our first customers, both large customers as Ericsson and also smaller customers like online credit card purchases. All of that happened when everyone was still working full time on other things. So it was mostly free time that we gave up. And then last winter we saw that we had a stable turnover. There was we had customers already in 21 countries. So we kind of saw that this was like a proper company that we should go all in for. And then we went out and during 5 months got investment into, like, we did a project of getting investment into the company.
What was the biggest challenges to actually start the company?
But to start it wasn't any, I think. Well, it was a bit of a fighting over exactly how the concept would be. But since we were always very into the MVP concepts, we wanted to get things out and see if the actual users reacted positively or how they behaved in the product. So since we did that and got confirmation that people liked it and shared it between each other and that we grew in user base, there was always like, we tried ourselves really in the beginning of the company, tried to where the product should fit, what features should be added and so on. We got our first customer based on that they saw the product and they themselves initiated what they wanted to pay for outside of what we had already. So they say, we love your product, but we want this and this, and then we would be willing to pay for it. So we developed that for them, and then also included that in the general things that you could pay for in Mentimeter. So we also got that confirmed before we kind of developed it, which also is a nice way of building a product. You always get confirmation of the things that you're about to build before you do it. That's also kind of a mindset we have still. We don't do any specific development for one customer, but if one customer is really willing to pay for something, that's a really strong argument for that more would be willing to pay for it, as long as we get confirmation.
So what are the sort of limitations for you right now? Are there any technical limitations, or
I wouldn't say mostly not technical. I would say that it's two. It's one. It's about the product, because we're in a state where we have about 3.5 million users. Our biggest competitor has about 10 to 15 million. So together and with the smaller competitors, maybe 20 in total in the market. But potential market here is X amount of 100 million users that have boring meetings, that have access to a smartphone or tablet, and some way want to like have a fun meeting instead of this boring Monday meeting again. So we're so short into the potential market, and we don't know, and none of our competitors really know what kind of products that will overtake that large market. So that's the biggest challenge long term. Then of course finding great people to work with, all of those things are kind of the day-to-day things to really build a company with great people. That's also one of the biggest challenges.
So what keeps you passionate about this project? What is it about this project that makes you want to?
Well, it's quite. The thing is that when I worked at the big company as Telenor, or as my co-founders worked as consultants, you are in a very meeting-heavy atmosphere. You do a lot of meetings, and it's fun to do something in that area to make those meetings more fun. So that's the context, which is really fun to be part of, to do something that's really everybody can imagine a boring meeting and a boring workplace, and we do something to lighten that up. Then it's extremely interesting to work with a product that's so scalable as well. So we find out problems and issues from a few customers and try to analyze the market. We build a product that's 100% scalable worldwide. So we have users in 120 countries and today paying customers in 41. And that's a very powerful thing that's extremely interesting to be part of. We had a couple of strategy sessions in the beginning where we went, we took a weekend and went to my summer house and spent like 2 workshop days kind of figuring out the distribution model, the business model, how to pay, everything like that. Level, how we should price, what level it should be priced, all of those things. But again, it came from that we had it 100% free from the beginning. So because now, releasing a software as a service software doesn't require more than a couple of thousands of kroners. So it costs nothing to put it up. So we had no model of even being able to buy Mentimeter in the beginning. And then we got confirmation from Ericsson that they wanted to buy something, and we put that online just to see if someone else would be willing to buy that. And that would then require credit card payments. And then actually people started buying that. So we got that confirmation as well. And from there it kind of grew. So that's how we kind of confirmed, I would say, do the price model and the business model of Mentimeter. Kind of got one confirmation, and that, we had a half employee 2013. So a friend of us who was studying already still. So we said that we have some money from the Ericsson and a couple of other customers, so we can employ you half time. So why don't you study half time and work at Mentimeter half time, and then you can see if we can continue building Mentimeter like from that time, because that's what all we could afford. So he did that, and then we saw that it was kind of taking off then. So, but the turnover, the revenue per month was about 15,000. So it was like half an employee, but not more than that. So we figured out that okay, but this is a company. This is a real company. This is something that we want to go for, like the guys who have hacked it away. So then we went for the investment to be able to employ people, because we saw that if just having half a person, this won't grow any fast at all. It would be a constant struggle. So we asked for 3.5 million Swedish kroners from the investors last spring that we got in June last summer, and then we employed 7 people in total, including 3 of the ones who hacked it away in the beginning, and then more people that we got on board. And from that date, we have actually been about 7 people. And today we are profitable with those 7. So the investment kind of carried over, gave effect, because we would definitely not have been profitable today if we haven't got the investment, because the growth of the company, we have quadrupled the user base and more in the revenue over this year. So it's an enormous growth, but it wouldn't have been possible if it would only be half a person or even a full employee.
Where did you want to be like 5 years in the future when you started, and where do you want to be?
Yeah, I think we matured a lot in kind of where Mentimeter is going. Like when we started, it was just a fun thing. We want to build something, and we want to try this out, because this is the meeting context we all felt very, very strongly about. It's so boring at our work where we were, and we just want to do something fun. Now, like a year into working full time, it's more about actually seeing this being an everyday's and every person's kind of service, and how do we come to that? So that's more the 3 to 5 year perspective now, that let's try actually to get this out to all the people that has the potential need of using Mentimeter. So it's a completely different kind of why we're doing it. 3 years ago we did it for the fun of it. Now we actually see that we are solving something really critical in people's lives. Let's just get it out to everyone.
Have you had any sort of ideas that failed, or that you thought were good ideas but you had to give up? Sort of different, maybe additional products or anything.
Not additional products, but like we worked since June last year full time. And during the first year now, we have tried so many things that we tried to generate growth, because growth is our main target, to grow the company, to get more users to have experienced Mentimeter. And we tried so many things that didn't work. Like, for example, we did a collaboration with a professor at Stockholm School of Economics around efficient teams. And it's such a powerful theory, because it's a theory about how to, in a meeting, discuss the fundamentals of what builds up an efficient team. And with Mentimeter, you can then vote on these different subjects. And from the result of Mentimeter, you can have a discussion that leads you to have a more efficient team. So we tried that collaboration and fronted that quite heavily on Mentimeter, and it generated no growth at all. Because it was too complex. Like people don't have time to bring in this complex like tool process theory online, where they think they just are going to get going and do something simple and fun. And this is an insight that we got in the last year, that we shouldn't be too complex. People use us in very complex setting, but that's up to them to do. We're just a tool to let them do that. So that's also kind of an insight we got from many, that we shouldn't do those complex things, do the simple ones.
Just looking back, we talked about this a bit earlier, but what would you do different when you especially these couple of years? Or
Yeah. It's hard because of course you know so much things now that if you know them then you would do a lot of things differently. But it's also impossible to know it.
Yeah.
It's kind of impossible to know exactly and exactly what to do differently. So I wouldn't we learned so much and it's formed where we are right now. Kind of we one thing for example, but also when we jumped on board last summer, we said that okay, let's do it 1 year. Because again, we started Mentimeter not as something that let's do it for life, but let's try it out. And then we said last summer again that okay, let's try it out for a year.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, that was of course really bad because then a year went, and then we were like, now what? And of course, we haven't built the company ready. It wasn't done. we still have 5-7 years to go, but we kind of expectation managed ourselves to kind of we're done now.
Would you say that you were prepared for it, or if you would do it again, would you have done something different?
Everything.
Okay. So you want to give some examples?
Well, I think I would do it on the side still. I think getting confirmation of your idea before you go all in, that's a very good way of doing it. Because I've seen so many people now when I'm in the community that just jump in before getting confirmation, and that can go pretty bad if you.
So they do full time immediately.
Yeah. If you haven't done your homework, which a lot of people have done, and it's good that they go all in and got but if you haven't done that, it can go quite wrong. So I think we did that right. But then everything from there's so many things that we could have done better. I have no idea how to engage investors, for example. So of course, if I knew what I knew now a year and a half ago, that would be much more quicker. So a lot of things that would have gone better. It takes time to build a company.
Right. So do you have any tips for someone who's thinking about starting an ICT startup?
Yeah, exactly. It's extremely cheap. Ideas are worth nothing, so just do it. Just hack away and release something that you think is good enough for someone to see value in and see how it gets received. I would just do it, because sitting around generating ideas and not doing anything about them will not lead anywhere. So that would be and reach out for help, because if it's one thing, this is my first job in kind of the startup sector, the startup industry, and if it's something that differs all of the other industries that I worked in, is that this is so helpful. People really want to help you, whatever problem you have. Is it technical? Is it business? Is it relations? Is it investment? Whatever. So reach out for help as well. In whatever aspect you have, and then people will help you, because that's the attitude. Especially in Stockholm, I don't know any other, but I would foresee it being that in San Francisco as well. What I've heard, it's the same kind of attitude. So ask for help and just do it.
Cool. Do you have anything you want to add that you think we forgot to ask you?
No, I think you got a good lineup of kind of a timeline of the company. I think it's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries. Good luck with your course.
Thank you.